we can clarify. When it comes to production advice, Metal is the weird kid of the class.
Sure, and there's absolutely no shame in that. I was the weird kid in the class. I think a lot of us were the weird kid in the class, to be honest with you. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, my weekly show where I answer your comments and questions about recording and being in a band and all that kind of cool stuff. This show is about you, not about me, so if you've got a comment or a question you'd like to share with the class, especially all of us weird kids, feel free to leave it down below. Let's get right to it.
A good 14th reason is that someone in the beginner stages, it's not easy to stay motivated when everything I play sounds like shit. I also do a lot of sitting around watching guitar videos and never picking it up. Keeping a cheap guitar plugged into my interface and resting next to my PC within arm's reach has really improved my consistency with practicing, mainly because I don't have to walk to get up all the way across the room to get one. It just removes that extra mental barrier.
Well, you certainly sound like the productive type. Oh no, I might have to get up out of my chair and go pick up a guitar. No, not that. Anything but effort. Yeah, that is sadly the creative state of mind of so many of us. Effort, the only thing standing in my way of being creative and productive. That was a comment on Tuesday's video, 13 Reasons Why Amp Sims Destroy Real Amps. Having a guitar on hand can be quite handy, actually. I usually keep a guitar down in my living room, so if I'm watching a movie or something like that and the wife's not around and I just want to, kind of work on skills and work on my technique, I can do that. I can do hand exercises while I'm watching a film and not bother anybody, and that's a good way to do that and build up skill. A lot of you guys would say, wow, Glenn, you got a lot better at practicing guitar. Yes, because I've been putting a lot of hours in on finger strengthening, building exercises, that kind of thing, working on my pick technique. Like I said, just having a guitar on hand when I'm not here in the studio working really helps out a lot. I'm going through the anime Log Horizon right now finally, and I'll watch 2-3 episodes of that and just do scales and whatnot just to get the strength up. So whatever works for you. I mean, like if it takes having a guitar on hand plugged into your computer to get you to practice, hey, whatever works. But bear in mind, don't be afraid of making an effort. It might just help you achieve your goals faster.
I gotta say, it's actually nice to hear Glenn defend that comment on desktop metal. People have to start somewhere, and being inspired by others is a good thing. At least people are still trying to make music, especially the Gen Z's generation that isn't mumble rap or trap. I personally would support this desktop drum sampled metal over that any day. I just knowing kids are out there learning to play guitar or bass, or just being able to get better at understanding overall song building and writing in general.
Yeah, and just to kind of throw back to last week's episode about desktop metal, somebody was trying to disparage the whole thing, what's going on, and it's like, no. We want people playing instruments again. Now, 10 years ago, there was a huge surge of bands coming in and out of the studio. I think that had a lot to do with the games, Guitar Hero and Rock Band. I think that actually inspired a lot of people to pick up instruments. So I'm not sure what's inspiring kids to pick up instruments these days, but the fact that we can do basically a whole production as one person at a desktop is great. It definitely opens things up. And here's the thing, I did exactly the same thing when I was 16, except I was doing it on a Commodore 64 and I had this really primitive program called Funky Drummer. It just let me kind of map songs out and I could write to that. So the fact that the tools have become much more sophisticated, and now you can do a whole program drum kit and actually have it sound half decent, especially when you don't peg all the values to 127. That's a big important thing right there. If you do that, you can actually get some pretty decent results. I mean, like we're listening to a track on Monday Morning Metal Madness, and I couldn't believe it was programmed drums. The guy was using Easy Drummer, but he backed off the values and actually gave it a bit of a human feel. It's like, wow, that's got to be the best mix with Easy Drummer I've ever heard. It's amazing what happens when you program in a little bit of subtlety. But to get back on the original statement there, the reason I was defending that is because I don't think we're going to see the next big revolution in rock music happen in some stinky jam room somewhere. It's going to be some kid figuring out a new way of approaching metal music in his bedroom or in his basement at a desktop in front of a computer. I think that's where the future of the music is going to lie. I mean, like we can only do the 8-string gent thing so much before people are going to come around and say, okay, maybe we should start writing songs again. Maybe we should start working on harmony and melody and learning how to get those big choruses happening again. Here's the thing. It's not going to be somebody from my generation that does that, though. It's got to be the young people who pick it up and say, you know what, let's do something cool here.
When you point out you've never made a hit record, it always makes me wonder who these people are that level the criticism. The number of musicians, mixers, and sound nerds who watch your videos probably have a combined hit record count of 0. You can guarantee that everyone in the comment section that talks about Tonewood has 0 hit songs.
It's kind of been the whole point of this show. You know, it's like If you're sitting in your basement, your bedroom, your garage, whatever, and you're trying to make music by whatever means you can, this show is for you, because I am just like you. I've been just doing it a little bit longer. I'm still sitting in a converted garage here, and I'm very happy about it. Almost bought a church there a couple months back, but I got outbid. Thank you, fucking real estate rush this year. Damn it. It would have been really cool. It had like this 30-foot ceiling, had some huge basement rooms. It would have been awesome to convert into a studio, but alas, that is not going to happen. The whole underlying theme for this show is to help you, the person working at home or in a small project studio, cope with the day-to-day of running said project studio, because we're all going to run into a lot of similar problems, mainly the musicians not practicing before they walk through your door. Hey guys, just gonna break in here for a second. Wanted to let you know we finally got my courses up for grabs over on spectredigital.com. We've got an introductory rate of only $97. It's 4 courses that will normally cost you over $420. We've got total heavy guitar, producing prog metal, mixing symphonic folk metal, and mixing metal in Reaper with free plugins. That one in particular I'm very proud of, as I show you how to get a monster mix using nothing but free plugins that anybody can grab. It's a really awesome bundle, and it's only going to be available till Sunday night for $97. After that, it goes back up to the regular price of $420. Grab it now while you can. Links in the description below.
Recently did a recording for a local artist at my studio for the first time. Holy hell, was it an awful experience! I had to keep reminding the guitar player to tune their guitar. They hadn't practiced the parts properly. The singer decided to get stoned before turning up, so between dry mouth and spaced out vibes, the performance was weak. And then the keyboard player just occasionally decided to not turn up at all, or turned up hungover and drunk. In addition to this, I sent him various mixes to get their opinion if they wanted anything changed, and after 2 months of hearing nothing back, fortunately I charged up front, so I got paid. The whole experience has left a bad taste in my mouth, in all honesty. In no other industry is it acceptable to turn up drunk or high to work, or claim that a performance is more organic or soulful because it's poorly executed. How these people function in the real world is beyond me.
Welcome to the wonderful wide world of recording. Guess what? It doesn't get any better. You know, there's legendary stories about bands in the 80s, like on top level recording sessions, showing up completely fucking worthless to their sessions, not being able to play. That's why so many session musicians can find work in the bigger studios in the bigger cities with the bigger recording scenes, because they have to be on hand to fill in for the musicians who can't play their own fucking parts. These days we have auto-tune and time alignment to clean up a lot of that shit, but back in the day it might not have been your favorite artist appearing on your record, not mentioning any names. You know, this is your first session, and unfortunately I don't think you're going to be very impressed with what you're going to get, because it's not really going to get better. It doesn't matter if you're at the low level or at the top level. Musicians will be fucking irresponsible and will do their best to sabotage their own careers. Yes, every once in a while you're going to get a band that walks through the door and just blows your fucking mind, who's got great material and come in and just give an amazing performance and make the whole thing enjoyable. Those are the sessions I live for. I've had a few of those happen over the years. I remember 2006's Black Creek. We did an entire album in 4 days. I mean, like from tracking to final mixing, and it went great. We had such a great time. It was one of my favorite experiences here in the studio. Here's the sad truth about recording at home and working with local bands, though. You're not going to be spending your time getting amazing, mind-blowing performances out of amazing musicians who are super on the ball and really have their shit together. No. Your job is to teach people how to play their own instruments, and if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of shit.
Glenn, what happened to yesterday's Metal Morning?
Oh yeah, you're talking about my Monday morning live stream. That was my third one in a row. It's going great. What happened? CD Baby claimed a fucking song and blocked my fucking video, bastards! Why do you guys insist on using CD Baby? They claim everything. They'll claim your own fucking song if you want to put it on YouTube. No, we're taking that. It's like, what a bunch of dicks! Seriously, I fucking despise CD Baby. Somebody suggested I make a t-shirt that says Abort CD Baby. I actually had a test one made up with a coat hanger. I'm like, that might be going a little too far. I don't know. You guys tell me. Anyway, every Monday morning I'm doing mix reviews for like 3-4 hours, like from like 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to, whenever I can't fucking stay awake anymore. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of you guys have been dropping by. We've actually been hearing some really fucking cool stuff. There was a ska band on a couple weeks ago with a song called Trusty used that just blew our hair back. On Monday, we had a guy come in named Cletus Chrysler, and he had a song like Zombies from Outer Space or something like that, and it was very old school Bowie. Not metal at all, but wow, what a fucking great song. What a fucking great voice. I want to hear more from this guy. Hopefully he's going to let me remix this track on the show here, because I think that'd be really fucking cool. Anyway, I've got a copyright dispute in with CD Baby right now about this, and I might be changing up my submission form to get on this show, just so you're going to have to sign a waiver that basically says you're going to grant me the rights to use the song and to review it on my show. So that way when CD Baby does their automatic robot claim, I can fire that back off at them and go, no, fuck you, I've got permission. I don't care if it fucking doesn't work with your fucking software. Fuck you, relinquish those rights because I've got a fucking Stein statement that says otherwise. And we're going to see where it goes because fuck CD Baby. Those bastards have claimed almost every single one of my live broadcasts for daring to do fucking mix reviews. What a bunch of dicks.
Is this aspect ratio a new thing on this channel? I like it.
Actually, it's a new thing, but it's also an old thing. Some of the original episodes on this show, like how to get your band ready for the studio, that was shot in anamorphic on my GH2 way back in the day using an ISCO 2x squeeze 35mm projection lens combined with a taking lens. And it's a dual focus system. It's a giant pain in the ass to work with. I just got in on the Indiegogo. Sure has a new anamorphic lens. It's a 1.6 squeeze, and I'm shooting through it right now, and it is amazing. I mean, look at these fucking flares. Oh, is that fucking cool or what? I'm a huge fan of the anamorphic look, because it's the look of cinema. It's the look of, Blade Runner and James Bond and Lawrence of Arabia and so many amazing films. Empire Strikes Back was shot in anamorphic. Plus, we get to do super cool things like horizontal jump cuts. I'll show you what I mean in just a sec.
Ultra-wide aspect anamorphic looks dumb. It looks bad on computer, it looks dumb on iPhone, makes you off-center and introduces dead space, blackened bars. Change it back, asshole!
Okay, misspells anamorphic and says I'm dumb. Really? Come on, man. Besides, anamorphic lets me do cool things where we don't have to use dead space, because I can do this, jump way over here, and then we can fill this in with cool images, that kind of thing. Anamorphic's the look of some of my favorite films of all time. And you know what? I choose anamorphic because I want things to look just a little bit different than your standard YouTube video. Hey, if you want to see shows that look just like everyone else's, there are plenty to choose from. If you want something maybe just a little bit more unique, hit that fucking subscribe button and buckle your seatbelts, because it's gonna get nerdy in here.
I'm looking to get a new video camera for my live shows. I've heard you say do your research before buying. I'm wondering, does going into a store and asking folks who work there questions ever help? Do these folks actually know anything about what they're selling?
Well, that really depends on the store and whatnot. I mean, like you walk into a camera store in Windsor, like you walk into Henry's in Windsor, you'd be lucky if you get a service. But then again, we've got a local store here called Photo Outfitters, and a guy, Adrian, who works that store there, owns the place. He does a lot of repairs and whatnot, definitely knows his shit. So it really depends on where you go. But a couple of YouTube channels I would recommend would be Gerald Undone, because he does technical breakdowns of all the new gear coming out. Potato Jet, he's got a great enthusiasm. I really enjoy his stuff, even though he did get a lot of stuff wrong about the first generation Sure anamorphics. There's Tito over on Anamorphic on a Budget. He's got a great show. And one of my absolute favorites, Casey over at Camera Conspiracies. I don't know how fucking high he gets when he shoots his videos, but I do appreciate them. They're an awful lot of fun. He does a lot of vlogging stuff, walking around, like Greektown in Toronto, that area, like the Danforth area. And he's got some really funny shit to say, and I really do enjoy that show. So I'd say go watch some of those if you've got your eye on one particular camera or another, especially if you want to do some vlogging stuff. I'd definitely say watch Camera Conspiracies, because he kind of, bitches about, flaws in camera designs and that kind of thing. It's really fucking cool.
Glenn, you're right on the school. My friends used to make fun of me because I didn't go to recording school, and now they are ass deep in debt.
Well, considering your lack of punctuation, I'm curious if you ever finished high school. Seriously, though, good for you for not falling for the college scam. A lot of those colleges are super fucking expensive and are not going to get you a job. That's the one thing you didn't mention in your comment, is your friends who went to recording school. Did they get jobs? I'm going to take a wild guess here and say, fuck no. Are they serving fries at the local McDonald's? That's probably much more likely than them landing a job in a studio or carving out any kind of work whatsoever. I say this to all the young people out there who are watching this show. If you're considering going to college or university, think long and hard about the investment you're going to make versus what kind of job you can get. Because if the job you're going to get with your piece of paper once you graduate is going to pay you shit wages, then don't fucking bother. An alternative would be to look into getting into trade school. You know, the world needs electricians and plumbers, people who make the world go round. Those jobs are fucking valuable and they pay very, very well. And you're probably going to have a way better quality of life than spending it running your ass off, you know, working 6 and 7 days a week for shit wages, trying to pay back a gigantic fucking debt for your university.
Why are your videos only aimed at heavy metal Grebo type musicians? Maybe I'm the only person watching this stuff who basically hates HM. Well, not entirely true. Wolf Totem by The Who is the best song I've heard in the last few years, but generally I don't like heavy metal. You give some interesting advice. I just don't get why the only target market is Grebo-ish. Lots of other musos play dirty sounding guitar. Understand compression. Look for the advantages, disadvantages of doing a proper studio to save vocals and guitar after recording the MIDI stuff at home, etc., etc.
Well, it might help if I knew what the fuck Grebo meant. Here's the thing. Here's why I do a metal show. It's because when I was coming up, there was no fucking information specifically for metal. It just didn't exist. If you wanted info, you had to go on the EQ forums or the Gear Sluts forum. And, you know, I was having a real hard time getting a great metal guitar sound. And the fucking ass clowns on gearsluts.com had me convinced the reason I wasn't getting a great guitar sound was because I didn't have a $4,000 set of converters. Well, it turns out that was complete and total fucking bullshit. It was some of the worst advice I've ever got. And I spent, you know, a long time saving up for this ultra expensive set of converters, which I never wound up buying because finally I smartened up and started hanging out on the Andy Sneap forum, and Andy was saying, oh yeah, I use a 57. I use a 57 just on all my guitars. And it's like, well, what the fuck is wrong here? I'm not getting a great sound with the 57. Something's got to be wrong. So I went to the store and I bought 4 more for 99 bucks a piece. So I spent $400 instead of $4,000. Brought those mics home, tried them all, and they all sounded great. Turns out the 57 I had was fucking broken. So I always say this, Andy Sneap saved me $4,000 because he gave me specific metal recording advice. So I'm trying to pay that good nature forward and help you guys out with your metal productions as well, because it's a slightly different ball game when you're talking about metal. It's a little bit more fucking difficult. It's a lot more fucking difficult. I mean, shit, man, if I wanted to make money, I would have just stuck around and did Celtic records my entire career, because those are fucking easy, because those guys can really fucking play well, and they've got money to spend in the studio as well, because the gigs they play pay real fucking money.
You really grew on me, Glenn. I always liked your content, but your mannerisms turned me off because you reminded me of an old master drill sergeant I used to know. I'm glad you don't take yourself too seriously. Love the vids. What do you think about Cubase? I haven't seen any of your content on the topic.
Oh, there's a couple of videos on Cubase that I did a couple of years back. I think it's fantastic. I think the built-in effects are great as a mix platform. It's fucking amazing. The channel strips are amazing. The EQs are great. Yeah, the EQ's compressor. Yeah, it's really, really, really fucking nice. I just haven't really had the time to sit down and learn the editing system though. So that's one of the reasons I'm still working with Reaper and not Cubase. That you can do some really amazing shit with Reaper. And I know there's a lot of you guys who watch this show who use Reaper as well. So it's kind of, you know, kind of helping everybody out to kind of stick with the same fucking platform. That being said, I might do some more Cubase content in the future. I think I've got a license kicking around, and there are a couple ideas I do want to try out with it from time to time. So stick around, stay tuned. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Gotta be for real. I've heard this and bus that, but I'm new to recording my own music. I have no idea what a bus is, what it's for, how to set one up, or why I need to. The videos I've personally seen show how to do it, but I don't understand it all. There's a ton of information, but I feel like I can't find what I need.
Oh, well, you know, you came to the right place. Basically, all a bus is when you have one channel that multiple other channels are feeding to. So say if you have 2 microphones on your snare, you've got your top mic and your bottom mic, you can take those 2 channels and then bus them to another channel, and you basically control both those by one fader. That you're combining 2 sources into one. Or if I'm doing multiple guitar mics, say like I've got 3-4 mics on a cabinet and I'm doing, say, quad track, instead of, you know, manipulating 12 mics or whatnot, I'll set them all to what level I want and then bus them to one fader so I can control those, all those microphones as a group, and then it's much, much easier to work with. Again, I've got a drum bus, I've got a guitar bus, I've got a bass bus, I've got a vocal bus. So I take what might be 36 to 48 tracks and get them all down to about 3 or 4 faders. And it becomes much, much, much simpler to work with and cuts the time you spend fucking around down astronomically. It's definitely a system worth learning. If you need some help with the basics, though, I've got a free course on audio basics. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a 3-parter. It explains EQ, compression, and reverb in very simple, easy to understand terms. It's about an hour and a half long, and it's absolutely free for the viewers of this channel. All you gotta do is follow the link in the description below. Hope you grab a copy of it, man. It's definitely worth taking the time to check it out.
I'm 26-year-old, and finding a band has been the most frustrating endeavor during the pandemic. I recently discovered the cost to publish quality music to streaming platforms, and I've been working my ass off ever since. Without having financial resources or a good network of musicians, it seems impossible to make a career in music.
Yeah. It's always been impossible to make a career in music. It's been very, very, very few people actually get to do this for a living. And, metal producers, even fewer people get to be full-time metal producers and do it for a living as well. I mean, like the number of guys mixing metal records these days, you can probably count on one hand who are doing it full-time. So that's just the nature of the beast, especially with more and more people doing shit at home. So, and I've kind of made a shift from going from working with a lot of bands to picking and choosing my projects that I want to do. And then I spend the rest of my time trying to help you guys figure out ways to make better records at home. Yeah, if you're getting in this to make money, you are in the wrong fucking business, my friend. Do it because you love the music, because if you do it for anything else, you're just going to be sorely disappointed. Again, I go back to my earlier suggestion. Get a career as a tradesman, because the world needs that. You will make money with a trade.
So what you're saying is, it's good I never went to college. I have no degree at all, just a high school diploma, but I have zero debt and a paid off house.
Yes, I'm saying you made the right fucking choice, my friend. Absolutely. I mean, like, why spend your life working your ass off for the privilege of owing somebody else money? If your house is paid off, good for you, man. You've already won. The system is set up to keep you in debt and to keep you on that fucking hamster wheel. So you've managed to fucking get around that whole fucking great big motivator to get you up out of bed every fucking day. Yeah, you've already fucking won, my friend. I paid off my house in 2012, and that's when life really got interesting. It definitely opened up a lot more opportunities. That's really when I started doing this show, because I'm like, okay, fuck it. If I tank my studio business, so be it. But I'm gonna say what's on my fucking mind. And if my fucking studio business goes bye-bye because of it, I'm going down swinging. Turns out that was a good choice to make. And if I hadn't paid off my house, I probably wouldn't have done it like that. So yeah, there's something to be said for not being in debt and going through life like that, because life's too short to spend it running your ass off for somebody else.
Are you still using the Ludwig Supraphonic snare? If so, how's it holding up? Supposedly it's the best snare for recording, but I figured I'd ask you, considering you have experience recording with it.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic. It's really, really great. I've got one of those pearl free-floating maple snares. It's really cool too, and I really want to check out the brass one. I've actually talked with Jordan from YC Drums in Toronto, and he's going to be building me a bell brass snare probably later this year or early next year. It's going to be a replica of like the Lars Ulrich bell brass snare that was used on the Black Album, which is like one of my all-time favorite snare sounds. But yeah, the Supraphonic's a fucking beast. It's definitely worth the investment, especially if you can find a used one in good shape. They've been made by the tens or hundreds of thousands, so it shouldn't be that difficult. Check out eBay, check out Reverb. Good luck with the shipping fees, but yeah, you should be able to find yourself something halfway decent at least. And yeah, phenomenal snare drum. They record great. One of my favorite snares to record. Absolutely.
Good points, Glenn. I find on Reverb the shipping rates are out to lunch. $100 for a unit and then $150 for shipping? Really, dude? LOL.
Yeah, I think that's a little fucked up too. I mean, like, I just ordered a couple of GT75s, some vintage ones from the early 90s that I want to do a show on, because a few of the guys on the SMG Discord are starting to get into that old T75 sound that was popular in the 80s with the thrash bands and whatnot. I mean, like, the vintage 30 things, let's be honest, is kind of run its course, and people need to start fucking looking at something else. I managed to find a pair of these in Alberta. It was like $80 each to ship. I wrote the guy, I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this shit all about? If you find something you want to buy and you find the price reasonable and the shipping is outrageous, it doesn't hurt to at least try getting hold of the person who's selling the unit and ask them, what the fuck's up with the shipping, man? Can you maybe charge something a little bit more reasonable? Because chances are, I can't say this every time, but I've definitely seen this happen where people will fucking add on an extraordinarily huge shipping charge and it won't even cost them that much to ship it, and they'll just pocket the difference. So never be afraid to call a seller out on that bullshit. You might just find it's worth the effort, because they might be willing to budge on that, especially if it's going to help them make a sale for something they've been having a hard time getting rid of.
Glenn, I know how you feel about anything that is not real drums, but have you ever tried drum triggers for shits and giggles?
Jordan, watch my show, How to Record Heavy Drums. It's literally got an episode called Cool Tricks for Triggers, where you don't actually use the triggers for samples, but you use them to control gates. I'm going to be doing a follow-up episode with the new triggers from Roland, which are fucking amazing, and I want to see how well they're going to work for ghost notes. There's some really cool things you can do with triggers and gates, and it all comes down to recording 2 tracks and then moving the trigger track just ahead of the snare track itself. That way it'll open a gate just in time for the snare string strike to come down. So really cool trick. Watch my episode on that, but I didn't do it about ghosting. Hopefully we're going to get Cam Fleury down here in the next couple weeks and we can do a couple more episodes in one afternoon and should be really fucking cool. By the way, make sure you check out my How to Record Heavy Drums 2 series if you haven't already. There's all kinds of drum recording tidbits in there. We're just talking about different mics and placement and all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to get into drum setup and ergonomics and all that kind of stuff, hit strength, you name it. We're going to be covering it in this series. I'm going to be using, of course, the brand new set of Pearl drums that I got last summer, courtesy of Pearl and Sweetwater. Fucking phenomenal drums. I really like the way all these things record. They sound absolutely massive. We're also going to have a couple episodes on skin replacement and tuning and all that shit too. Hopefully you guys are going to stick around and watch some of those because I try and put as much value in those episodes as I can to help you guys make better recordings at home.
Apparently, more than 450,000 of your viewers enjoy the aggressive, derogatory delivery of information while being called assholes and fuck-ups? Interesting. To each his own.
Well, Donald, you ever consider the fact that maybe it's because my audience isn't a giant bunch of pussies? I don't know. What do you think? My show is for the metal crowd, and we care not for your feelings. Don't let the door hit you in the feelings on your way out to go back home to listen to your Simon and Garfunkel records. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing. And once again, if you're just a beginner, follow the link in the description below to my free audio basics course. It's an hour and a half long. And if you don't know how a compressor works or an EQ or a reverb or any of that shit, this is going to help you get your head around some of those weird concepts like threshold, attack, and release and ratio and all that fucking shit, which was designed by radio engineers and not with musicians in mind. Anyway, we got a bunch of cool stuff coming up in December. We're going to be taking a look at the brand new Kali LP6 Mark IIs that have the cleaner power amp for all those people who are bitching. Oh, they're noisy. Oh, they're noisy. No, they're not anymore. Fucking shut up and buy them. No, seriously, we're going to do a couple mixes on those. Should be a lot of fun. They also sent me a subwoofer that I have absolutely no room for in here. It's just fucking gigantic. I have no idea what the fuck I'm going to do with this. We've also going to be looking at some more Jay-Z microphones. And of course, the How to Record Heavy Drum series will be returning as well. So until next time, I wish you guys the best of luck with your home recording and mixing. And if you've got questions or you're confused, please leave a comment below because I do try and read every single one of them. So until next time, my friends, praise Crom and crush your enemies. Oh, fuck's sakes. God damn it, this is tough. That worked.